in Australia with Robert Whittaker. Sadly, this is terrible. But Dominic passed away last night. No, why are you laughing? It's grief. It's grief.
Why am I laughing?
It's grief. It's one of the many steps, denial, all that stuff. But Dom's not with us anymore. Dom he's gone.
Terrible time.
But he got eaten by a shark. Again. No, I kicked the out of him. Right? Because he's driving me nuts.
Is it really? I mean, does it need to be this long?
It's a ghost.
It's a story.
Story's got him. Got him.
I don't think there was a possibility for there to be a 10-pound difference in size between Alexander Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev when we've seen the disparity when you look at a guy like Alex when he's fighting against Izzy, who is the natural bigger human. Now he's a much bigger man than Izzy is. So in no way do you think Volk came into this fight at a deficit with what the scales would say they weighed, DC?
Absolutely, RC. But here's the issue, right? When you're big, right? When you're big for a weight class like Makhachev can't get back to what he weighs outside of fight camp because you spend so much time dieting to a place where you can get down to the weight. So even when I was fighting RC and I was going to 205, I would always step into the octagon at 222. Because I would diet my way down to the 220s in order to be able to make 205. So even if I ate and I drank and I ate and I drank, you never got bigger. So Islam was probably going to be about 175 max. That's about 20 pounds. Volkanovski looked huge in there, bro. He's so thick. And I said that to him. I go, you're not small. You're just short.
Just short. Yeah.
Yes, you're just short. And I think that his height actually played a part in the fight and in the result. But ultimately, I don't want this to come off as if I'm not giving credit to Alexander. Dude, I tweeted in the middle of the fight, I go, this dude is so good. He's so good. And that's why he presented so many problems. I think it was unfair for people to look as he was going to just be a road bump or a stop in the road for a guy like Islam Makhachev because nobody's that much better than Alexander Volkanovski. And I think he proved that on Saturday. But on Saturday, RC, he did lose the fight.
We have to remind ourselves, though, when we're watching a fight, we do have bias, right? Especially in these big fights. And especially when you have a smaller man that you are rooting for. We are naturally, a lot of times, kind of pulling for the underdogs in a lot of ways. And that narrative in our head seems to kind of lead the way as we're watching fights. I know that was the case for me. As I was watching that fight live, John, I said, man, that was a close fight. I think Volk, pulled it off. I went back and watched the fight. I think it's important if we are to be intelligent human beings and trying to learn that we have to have an open mind enough to be able to change our mind. And after watching that fight again, sound off, no distractions, looking at it to score, it was close, but it was clear. Islam Makhachev won that fight. I had it rounds 1, 2, and 4 for Islam, rounds 3 and 5 for Volkanovski.
If he's anything like me, if I was in that situation, I need to do it again. Let's go. You know what I mean? And I'm sure that's how he is. He's a competitive dude, and you know what I mean? Especially when there's going to be this stain and people are... You got to remember, I've been in that position before. It doesn't feel good, you know what I mean? You just want to silence the doubters, prove them all wrong, and I'm surely he's in that position. So he's going to want to do something about it. And the only way to do that is to face me again, do the rematch.
Superb, flawless. He got hit a couple of times, but he's got that Mexican heart. Even besides all the technique, You know, he's got that altitude training, which is never going to fail him. I guarantee. You know, those Mexican fighters like Chavez, they could go 100 rounds. They just, you could beat them with a bat. So I think he brings that intangible into the ring, plus the technique, the movement, the kicks. You know, I picked him to win just because I thought he would offset him with the kicks, but that's just one aspect. He's really a talented guy, and that's the only problem I have with Volk rematch and Islam, is that this fight I don't think is an easy fight for Volk. I mean, I'd love to. Everybody wants to see that fight too. So for the UFC, it was just a win-win, because I think it opens up so many possibilities. Maybe the mystique of Islam has been taken away a little bit, you know, for other guys to come in there. You know, Yair Rodriguez added. I mean, what a performance he had. I want to see that fight with Volkanovski too. I want to see how Volk deals with him. They're in a great spot. They're all of them are. Yair, Volk, Islam. They have great fights ahead of them.
My opponent is in dangerous territory. Ooh, the altitude here is thin. The air is cold and dry. And his opponent, me, ready, baby. Ready, prepared. Let's go, baby. Let's go. Excited. Oh, yeah. Make sure to go and get the BKFC app. Download it on your phone, man. Hook your brother up, man. Hook me up. Please, come on. Use the Diego referral. Come on. Support me. Help me out. I love you guys. Have a good night.
Virtually identical. Grazie.
Petr Yan is getting comfortable. Now, hear me out with making excuses for his losses. Oh, I'm gonna leave. The UFC doesn't like me. Oh, you want to bib? You want to stop crying. You got to get done. Aljo beat you. Stop crying about that. You know what I mean? So anytime the guy loses, who else did he lose to that he was pitching?
Sean O'Malley, split decision. Aljo, split decision and disqualification.
Oh, man. So what happens when Marab beats him? Oh, the UFC doesn't like me. I told you that shit, you cocky little Russian.
Одну сюда пропустил, тоже в пятом раунде такой электрошок пошел. Нормально, да. Я же что, не с прохожим дрался, тоже лучший боец в мире. Все, по-прежнему увидимся. Посидел, да? Посидел или потолстел еще? Давай, Хайб, на связи, брат. Обнял. Марко.
We were destined to fight, mate. I think it's fate. It really is.
But the fact that you're standing there with that belt on like you're a champion makes me sick. You should be ashamed of yourself. Here.
5 years later.
Dominic passed away.
Oh my God.
No, why are you laughing? It's grief. It's grief.
Why am I laughing?
It's grief. It's one of the many steps, denial, all that stuff. But Dom's not with us anymore. Dom is